The sirens right now are completely appropriate because I have felt so uncomfortable by the men I have interacted with in the past week, and it is so upsetting to me. Literally in the 10-minute walk from my house to a restaurant to go watch the Bills game on Sunday, I was catcalled 3 times in a 10-minute period.
No, you weren't. Not in those clothes, you weren't. Not with that unwashed hair, you weren't. This jacket that looks like a dirty bathroom rug is the kind of stuff that she wears outside. No one's catcalling you in that. Now, I'm not saying that catcalling isn't weird, but women who get catcalled would never go on camera looking the way she does in this video.
And then last night, I interacted with some of the most juvenile men. I actually don't even feel comfortable talking out loud about what these men said, but the one guy was basically making a really juvenile comment and joke, and I remember I looked at him and I go, that's not funny. I can't believe people are still making jokes like that. And he was only 22 years old, and I was like, I thought your generation was better. The group of men around you just laughing about it like it's nothing. So I'm calling this man out on what he said and how it wasn't funny. And of course, all the guys around were telling me that I was like argumentative and had an attitude.
Well, you do sound like you're argumentative and have an attitude. I mean, if I was having a conversation with friends of mine and this random chick showed up to say I shouldn't be allowed to say what I'm saying, then I would have called her things that are a lot worse than argumentative.
This is what I hate about this country. You are what I hate about this country. And I don't want to feel such hatred for where I live. And I don't want to feel such hatred towards an entire group of people, which are straight men. I don't want to feel that way. But the experiences I've had in the past few days have made it really hard for them to be likable to me.
Well, that sounds incredibly sexist and heterophobic, but I'm sure she doesn't consider those statements a problem because she's on the correct political side or whatever. By the way, how did you know they were straight? Did you just assume their orientation?
Have you ever had a cis person ask you what your pronouns are and you're like, I'd rather you just called me a slur instead of asking me what my pronouns are right now?
Never mind. I guess I stand corrected on making assumptions, considering that not making assumptions is more offensive than just calling someone a slur. Let's get back to the person from before and finish her video.
I am frustrated. I am tired. I should not have to be out in public feeling so uncomfortable to just exist. It makes me want to hide under a rock. It makes me want to just stay in my apartment and not leave. Like, I just want to walk outside, go from point A to B without being verbally harassed, without being physically harassed, without being told childish, inconsiderate comments and jokes. Like, what? What?
What? Yeah, I don't believe any of this story happened, and neither does anyone else in the comments. Anyway, the person that you just saw is 33-year-old Molly Rudder, a growing TikTok star who's known for storytime videos about her dating life. Let's get more into it, but first, let's talk about this video's sponsor, Aura. Aura is a service that's all about protecting your online privacy. These days, data brokers are vicious when it comes to making your private information extremely easy to access, and a lot of people don't know this, but data brokers make your personal data so easy to access that basically anyone can find out a lot of important stuff about you that you thought was private from a simple Google search. However, these websites are required to allow you to opt out, and the best thing about Aura is that they will do this for you automatically so that you don't have to go to 100 different websites and jump through 15 different hoops just to not have your personal information show up on major search engines like Google. But that's not all. If you sign up for Aura, you also get a VPN with over 100 virtual locations that you can access at home or on the go. And last, in the event that something bad happens, Aura also comes with identity theft insurance. So if you want your personal info removed from the internet, then check out aura.com/TBYS and try it out for free for 2 weeks. That's aura.com/TBYS, or click on the first link in the description. Alright, as I said, this is Molly Rudder, who is a 33-year-old TikTok influencer who got popular by talking about her dating life, which is kind of like a pathological content strategy that a lot of older women on TikTok have adopted. It basically relies on them having a never-ending series of bad dates that they can then monetize for content. For example,
So I had a date planned tonight. It was with this really handsome guy from Hinge. Notice I'm using the past tense. And that's because we had plans to go to a cafe. I asked him what time he was thinking. This was the conversation yesterday. And he said around 8, but I'll have a better idea tomorrow. I'll text you. And I was like, okay. It's 6:30 p.m. Didn't text me. So obviously we're not meeting.
Okay, so I guess that wasn't really a dating story. It was more so someone who was thinking about going on a date, but probably found a better option, so he ghosted her. Welcome to dating apps, but let's give it another shot.
In other news though, I've been texting this guy. We matched on Hinge, and he's from the UK, and he's visiting like the Northeast US right now for work. And we got some chemistry going on via text. And so he has one window in his travels next week. I'm trying to convince him to come to Buffalo. So I asked him if we could do like a FaceTime date.
I mean, that's not really a dating story either. How many of these story times are just her failing to get a first date? Also, I don't think that trying to squeeze in a quick date with a guy who will only be near you for one day, just so you can make a video on it, is the best strategy long term to get into a relationship. But why are so many people avoiding her? There's a lot of fish in the sea, so surely someone is right for Molly.
Him and I are texting, and he's like, when do you think you'll get there? And I was like, my ETA says 12 minutes later. And then he goes, okay, love. And I go, love? I was like, a bit too soon for that. And he's like, it's just a nickname. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm aware of that, but I prefer those kind of nicknames to be after I know someone better. Dude, we never even met in person yet, and you're already calling me love? You don't even know my last name yet, but you can call me love?
Oh, right. She's crazy. Well, that makes sense. By the way, this video was also an instance where she got ghosted and never actually met the guy, yet it's one of her most popular releases. Let's see if we can find other reasons for her ghosting problem. Cat on the countertops? That's disgusting. Cats literally step in their own poop every time they go to the bathroom, and you let them walk where you put food? Also, she insists that her dogs come on like every date with her, which is weird. Unless you're going to a dog park for the date, which I haven't seen her do. But even when an alleged date goes well and she doesn't get ghosted, she still has to say something bad.
Okay, so he's really, really handsome in person. We're having a good time, but I would say like, I feel like I just feel like a little lukewarm about it just because he's not like giving me much. Like, as flirty as our conversation was via text, he's not really flirting very much in person. So I might ask him about that. Honestly, it makes me think maybe he's not as attracted to me in person, or maybe he's just like more shy in person. I don't know exactly what it is, but I might ask him about that.
Or maybe he's just different in person. A lot of people change when they're face-to-face with someone for the first time. But this really seems like a nitpicky non-issue, and if we have to have a little talk about why I don't seem like I find her as attractive on the first date, I'm just going to stop talking to her because I don't need to unravel what kind of mental health issues are behind that question from someone I just met. Moving on, Molly Rudder is also a school teacher who recently moved back to Buffalo, New York from Turkey, where she taught English. Once she got back to America, she got hired as a private school teacher. However, in August of 2024, she made the smart career choice of leaving her stable teaching job for TikTok, while TikTok was on the verge of being banned in the US in just a few months. So you know she's intelligent. And maybe I should point out the elephant in the room here. I don't know. Maybe this is hard to see for people who aren't content creators, but these videos she makes aren't exactly a lot of work. Why not just teach and do TikTok? Like, I would be shocked if she spends more than 30 minutes from the time that she has the idea for the video to the point where she hits upload for the vast majority of her content. Now, someone might say, well, girls do spend a lot of time getting ready to go on camera. And true, they do. A female creator might spend an hour or two or more showering, doing her hair and makeup, and selecting an outfit. But Molly doesn't do that. Most of the time, she's in some dirty t-shirt with dog hair on it that she's been wearing for multiple days, and she doesn't do her hair or makeup in the majority of her videos. Nothing suggests that these videos take a lot of time, so she could easily do them while she teaches. That being said, Molly will claim that she left her teaching job because of some conflict at work or whatever, but it sounds like this was more of the reason.
It came time for contract renewals, and I found out in my meeting that they were going to be moving me to a middle school learning specialist role and move the person in that role to the third grade position I was in, like essentially swap our roles. I was devastated by this. I legit cried in the meeting because I was so upset. I'll be honest, I just was not jumping up and down at moving to middle school. This would have been my 5th year teaching. 4 of those years I've been in a 3rd or a 4th grade classroom. I'm not in the mood for a career change like that in teaching.
So basically, when you're a teacher and you teach the same subject over and over, you can spend like a year or two making your lesson plan, and if you're lazy, then as long as you don't switch subjects, you can just kind of coast for the rest of your life. Molly didn't want to have to do the work of creating new lesson plans for middle school, so she decided to quit and do social media, which she says is a fraction of the work.
I now have been pursuing social media full-time since August, and for a fraction of the work, I have made more money.
Yeah, not a smart decision. Entertainment is a very unstable field with a lot of bad months, and if you have a half-decent job, then you should be making way more on social media than you make doing your day job before you quit. And if you do quit your day job because you're making more money for a fraction of the work, then you should be spending the rest of the day that you would have been working as a teacher making additional content or improving your business, not waking up in the middle of the day and going back to sleep.
Have you heard of the 5-10-20 rule? I've been trying to do that every day when I wake up, because otherwise I just lay in bed, scroll through TikTok, and fall back asleep.
But I guess we can't sit here and dwell on small details like that. We have our next story time to get to. Let's hear how this date went.
My first date in like a month. Guys, I feel really cute tonight. I'm excited to meet this guy. So he's from India. He goes to university in Buffalo. It's his first time in the States ever. And he's studying AI. How cool is that?
Okay, he's an Indian guy who just moved to Buffalo, and he goes to college to study AI. Now, I will note again that Molly is in her 30s, so you would think that she would be going for someone who is not still in college, but let's not question things too deeply here. I want to see how the date went.
He is adorable. Like, absolutely adorable. He's definitely like shy and nervous, which is actually really endearing. Vibes are still good. We already talked about meeting up for another date. I'm a little bummed he doesn't want to go to a second location with me, but he does have classes in the morning, so I don't fully blame him.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like she had a good time. Out of all the videos I've watched, I think that this might actually be the first time that she goes on a second date. And he even changed his mind and decided to go to the second location.
This date ended terribly. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. It was so bad in the end.
What happened? I thought things were going great. Well, fortunately, there's a part 2 and 3 and 4. You know, you gotta milk that slop content. But anyway, she starts out part 2 with this.
He gave me a lot of compliments throughout the date about how confident I am and how he admires that about me.
No, he didn't. And if he did, that's even worse, because if you're on a first date and a guy is complimenting your personality traits and not your appearance, that means he's not that attracted to you. This is not something to brag about. But after the compliment, Molly says that her and the Indian guy start making out on a first date shortly after they met in public at a restaurant with people watching, if you can believe that. And during this makeout session, he crosses a physical boundary by touching her breasts, and that caused her to flip out and say that she got a PTSD trauma response or whatever. Well, actually, it might have just been a single first kiss before the groping, which I believe even less. She was kind of unclear about this whole situation, but fair enough. If that actually happened, then it would be a pretty common boundary violation to grope someone like that in public. But like I said, I have my doubts, and a lot of her viewers believe that these dates are completely made up or heavily embellished.
I'm convinced these are all fake stories. I am convinced that she is just seeing stories on Reddit or something, and she is like rewriting them and just making videos as that person.
Now, when I suggest that the date with the Indian guy was made up, let me emphasize that the groping event happened before she was all excited to pull him to a second location. Some people might call that a huge plot hole because, again, it's a pretty obvious boundary violation. Like, almost no woman would be okay with that with a guy that she just met unless she's a streetwalker. But Molly addresses that issue by saying that it was her empathy that allowed her to forgive him.
I started feeling bad for him because I am who I am and how much empathy I have. I was really understanding of his point of view, and I started consoling him and reassuring him that he's not a bad person.
Right. Molly Rudder, the queen of empathy. I'm sure her and Manifestel would be great friends who can share all about how much empathy they both have. I mean, Molly has so much empathy for other people that she will even use them for content against their wishes.
Okay, so it was wonderful. He is wonderful. But, he's a very private person.
And out of respect for him, I'm not going to disclose more details about him or the date.
I mean, you did kind of use him for content, though. If you weren't using him for content, you wouldn't have uploaded this video showing where you went on the date, followed by talking about it. Not to say that Molly has moral standards or anything, because she'll even sell out her own family for content.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm feeling extremely anxious about seeing my family, some family members that I'm not super pumped to see. I'm going there as a social experiment. I'm going there to get content. Any weird things that happen are just things I'm going to monetize later.
Maybe there's a reason why she doesn't have a good relationship with certain family members. Going back to the Indian guy, Molly tells this story about how she lends her phone to a stranger, and the Indian guy gets super protective about how she should not let a stranger borrow her phone, just in case they end up stealing it, because, you know, cell phone thievery is an Indian stereotype. And because he warns her to not share her phone, she gets super defensive and says this.
And I remember I was looking at him and I was doing that thing where when you're so angry, you talk in like a slow, calm voice. I remember I said to him, I am a strong, independent woman who has traveled all over the world. I am completely capable of assessing the safety of a situation like that.
Yes, I do think that Molly is narcissistic enough to call herself strong and independent on a first date. A lot of these TikTok influencers and alpha male podcasters act like that. And I have to say that if you want a successful relationship, instead of focusing on how great you are, how about you ask yourself, what does the other person want and how can I provide that to them?
The right question is, how can I learn to offer something to someone else that would make me eminently desirable? And it's the right question because you can build yourself into a person that people would line up to be with.
Bragging about your greatness is probably one of the least desirable traits in a partner, though maybe this is all too advanced for Molly, as she has to, yet again in this story, pause to emphasize how empathetic she is.
Because I'm so empathetic as a person.
Yes, a person who is so empathetic that they create an incredibly racist caricature of an autistic Indian guy to get views and money on TikTok. I don't know if you guys have caught on to this yet, but Molly Rudder isn't exactly the most honest person. And probably the best example of that is a series of videos that she did that she had to delete. Why did she have to delete them? Well, I couldn't watch them for myself because, you know, they were deleted. So here's a person I found discussing them.
Influencer Molly E. Rudder is rightfully getting called out for this horrific series of videos. She posted a video titled, "Get ready with me to go on the scariest date of my life." She ends the video with her covering her mouth with a bruised eyebrow and a busted lip in front of police lights, saying, "Oh my God, I was so scared." 15 hours go by before she posts anything. People in her comments terrified. People are worried about her. People are scared. In the second video she posts, she starts off by taking it off and saying, "I went to a haunted house." She describes her tour of the Fright World location and what she got to do and how she was a damsel in distress, and ends the video by saying that she got her makeup zombie makeup. But this is not zombie makeup. In my opinion, this is to look like you've been in a fight. Because what zombie has a bruised eye and blood dripping out of their lip?
Right, she's not even green. So after pretending to be a victim of domestic violence to get views and it didn't go well, she did the standard influencer non-apology.
I went to a haunted house to film content and dress up with a makeup look that was spooky, Halloween inspired to match the theme of this zombie date experience. That said, I've read your comments and I understand that there were people who felt that my makeup look, which included a black eye and a busted lip, was highlighting domestic violence and physical abuse, which was absolutely not my intention at all.
I guess that's true because your actual intention was to make people think that you got abused and not do some sort of awareness campaign for domestic violence.
I always act under the premise that even people with good intentions, their actions and their behaviors and their words can have unintended negative consequences on others. I do not feel it would be right to profit off of content that highlights something as serious as domestic violence and physical abuse. And so that is why I have removed those videos.
That's TikToker language for, I did upload those videos for money but got backlash for them, so now I'm removing them to hide the evidence. And that's not the end of Molly's dishonesty. She has tons of people who have all been wondering why a lot of her interactions with men go really well right up until the moment they see her face. People have been guessing it's because she catfishes the guy she dates, and someone on her Reddit snark page found her dating profile, and yeah, she definitely is using older photos of herself in her profile where she's a lot thinner. Like, I mean, she's gotten really big recently. Here's a picture from about a year and a half ago. I didn't know you could gain that much weight so quickly, so she must binge a lot. In fact, since she has so kindly left up years of Instagram photos for us, we can see that she used to be very thin when she was in her 20s. Man, what a fall off. It's hard to believe that this is the same person. Moral of the story here is stay vigilant, guys. Always keep yourself in check because it gets harder and harder to not let yourself go and fall into your bad habits as you get older. But instead of ignoring the snark page or learning the lesson of, hey, maybe you shouldn't use your real name and real middle initial as your social media brand, tell people what your birthday is, and constantly say the exact state and town you live in. No, it would be smart to not do that. So instead of learning her lesson, she goes on a rant on TikTok and makes things worse.
Let's just say you're right, even if you are right. Who cares? Like, do you really think I care about having a few photos on a dating app where I have less body fat than I have now? Do you really think that that's like a concern of mine? Genuinely, I'm wondering. Because I think so highly of myself that so many other things cross my mind when I think about how I'm presenting myself to the dating world. Like in those photos where I have less body fat, I'm thinking, oh my God, I look so cute. I love my outfit. I look like I'm having so much fun and I'm there with my dogs. I want to represent that on my dating profile. And I'll be damned if I ever go on a date with someone who sees a few photos where I'm thinner and then sees me in person and thinks, oh my God, she's a catfish. I never want to date her again. Oh my God, if I ever encounter someone like that, please, I hope they run for the hills.
Well, that was a really dumb thing to admit. Sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut.
Do you really think it crosses my mind when I'm putting together my dating profile? Do you really think I'm thinking, I better make sure all my photos show exactly the correct amount of body fat that I have right now? Do you really think I care about that? That's a concern of mine?
Yeah, poor excuse. For one, maybe you should take their words more seriously and start taking care of your health before your junk food and alcohol addiction hospitalizes you. Two, your business is social media. You are constantly taking photos and video of yourself. Why would you be using pictures that look like they're a year old when your body has significantly changed during that time? Anyway, I'm guessing at some point Molly figured out that people would get bored of the storytime videos and stop watching her, especially considering that she probably is making most of them up, and the more you lie, the more difficult it is to keep the lie going. So she's probably looking for a new grift before people lose interest in her channel. Well, I guess she could always pivot into politics. People are always super emotional about that, so it's great for views.
All right, do you want an update on how I'm feeling, how I'm doing, and what I'm doing? So I would first and foremost say that pretty much my entire waking hours right now, with the exception of when I know I need to drink water and consume food and take my dogs out, I've been obsessively consuming content related to this election and the state of our country right now. I've never felt as though my TikTok shop videos and my dating updates and my day in the life vlogs, I've never in my life felt like that type of content was more trivial than I do right now.
This video must have come out right after Trump won, but it wasn't good enough to make the Meltdown compilation. Yep, look at that release date.
My brain is spinning with ideas and plans to use my platform for educational purposes.
Oh, please, you're like a complete airhead. What value could you possibly add to the political space? I genuinely don't think I've seen her do anything well on TikTok outside of lie for views. But okay, let's hear what profound words that she has to say about Trump.
How do you not see how Trump winning has affected my dating life? I genuinely don't understand how you don't see that.
Nice. That's good content strategy. Relate it back to what people know you for, so transitioning into politics feels more natural. Now tell me more about how this affects your dating life.
Trump winning has done much more than just endanger us with our human rights, but also it's going to normalize misogyny and bigotry and racism and sexism more than ever before.
Gee, I sure hope that Molly says nothing in this video that's racist, sexist, or bigoted, because that would just look really bad.
If there are women in this country who have lost their bodily autonomy, why am I going to care about dating? Why am I going to want to date straight white men?
Every time with these people. They're the racist, and this finger pointing is all just projection. But wait, that's not even the best part of the video. The best part is Molly talking about where she gets her info on politics.
And this is not a hate towards all straight white men. One of the reasons why the majority of the content I've been consuming over the past few days has been Dean and Parker. You might have seen them from the Jubilee debates and stuff like that. These are young Gen Z straight white men. And they stand for all of the same values that I do, and they're very eloquent, and they're incredibly smart, knowledgeable men. And so I've been listening to them almost exclusively over the past few days.
Parker from Jubilee? You must be kidding. The guy who said, "Did the Taliban violate community guidelines on Twitter?" Is she talking about that Parker?
When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
This has to be the most insane and dumbest thing I've ever heard someone say in a Jubilee video, and that's where Molly gets her political takes. Oh god, the nightmare blunt rotation of Zoomer politics. So, naturally Molly's gonna have a bunch of really intelligent opinions on politics, right? She seems to feel really strongly about abortion. What's she have to say about that?
Some plans that I have currently in my mind. The moment I get paid next week, I'm going to buy many Plan Bs. Yeah, so I have done my research on it. So my stance on abortion and it being in the hands of the states is not just about myself, because I have this capacity to care about others outside of my own sphere, right? Can you get with me here? Empathy. So even though I'm very grateful that I live in New York State, that I still have access to abortion, I am thinking about all of the women who don't in this country right now. So God forbid I'm traveling to another state and I get raped. I would like to have the possibility of being able to abort that pregnancy. And that is why I will be stocking up on Plan B and why I think every woman in this country should.
Why? What's that going to do? Plan B is emergency contraception. It's not an abortion pill, so it's legal. For example, abortion is illegal in Texas, but you can still buy Plan B. You don't even have to leave your house, you just get it on Amazon. Please, Molly, do yourself a favor and stick to content that doesn't require research.
Also, next week I'm planning to go to my local library. I'm going to check out books so that I can learn more about the real history behind the United States of America.
Wait, I thought you were successful enough at this to quit your job, but you can't afford $15 for an Audible credit? You have to rent books from the library for free? Well, speaking of financial issues...
TikTok has not sent me my paycheck yet for this month. I normally get paid on the 15th, and it is now the 16th. We're only a few hours away from it being the 17th, and I've not received it. But I've always, ever since I've been monetizing on TikTok, I've always gotten my pay on the 15th of the month. And it is now almost the 17th and I still haven't received it. And I called PayPal and I asked them, because thinking maybe there was a hiccup over there, and they said they have no record of receiving it.
Molly, come on. The paycheck is 1 day late. Are you so financially irresponsible that you have to rally the troops if you have to wait 1 extra day for your money? I thought you were a rich girl influencer now. I mean, you're lucky that you're not on YouTube, because if a payday falls on a weekend, you don't get paid till Monday, or later sometimes.
And so, of course there's a chance that all of this is a glitch, but I can't help but think that something's awfully coincidental that this is happening days before the potential TikTok ban. And so in my head, I'm just thinking the worst, that the ban's gonna happen and then they're not gonna pay me my last paycheck, and I'm freaking out. I'm also really trying to cope with the reality that I don't have any control over what happens with this app.
Oh no. Who's gonna tell her? Who's gonna tell her that Donald Trump brought TikTok back? I know she released this video before he did that, but I love the irony.
I know for certain there are going to be haters in this comment section who are like, ooh, boo-hoo, get a real job, you know? And to that, I just say, I really hope you find an area of your life to exist where you have empathy for others, that you have empathy for people who are doing something, even if it's unconventional, if it's something that makes them happy, brings them a quality of life that they didn't have before.
There's that talk about empathy again. Maybe people wouldn't be laughing at you for this if you didn't lie to them about being a victim of domestic violence.
And this time of year is always hard for me because around my birthday, I always fucking miss my dead mother and wish she was here. So yeah, I'm kind of crashing out right now. And I was just on the phone with my therapist, and he told me that it's okay if I ask for help. So, here's me shamelessly asking for help. I've done this before online, and I'm doing it again. Even if you can't help me monetarily, if you want to share this video, because I'm curious if other creators have also not received this week's pay. I just love this community that I've built, and so even just like a kind message would mean the world to me. And my heart goes out to anyone else who's really struggling right now. I really admire people who are able to put on a brave face during times like this, but I'm just not one of those people. I'm too sensitive of a patootie, so.
I think your therapist meant ask your family and friends, not e-beg your TikTok followers for money and then use your dead mom as emotional blackmail. This is messed up. I mean, this is like rule number 1 of content creation. Never guilt trip your followers into giving you money. Only the worst people like Darkside Phil and Boogie do that. But this is all weird because, I mean, just like 2 weeks before, she was on Business Insider bragging about how successful she was. How could she be broke?
I have mountains of student loan debt.
Maybe you should have kept that day job as a teacher and used the extra money from TikTok to pay off your debt. And by the way, I said before that Molly is really lazy, and I just want to further emphasize how this was a very well-deserved reality check considering how little work she puts into her content. She literally doesn't even shower or change her clothes before she films.
And you know what, to everyone who loves to criticize me for wearing the same clothes every single day, like, what about it? What about it? Yeah, I'm wearing the same t-shirt. It's dirty. I've been wearing it for like pretty much a week at this point, the same shirt. Not outside. When I go outside, guys, I put different clothes on. And I have showered this week once. But can you smell me through the phone? Can you smell me?
That's gross. But apparently we have an update on the payment situation.
I still have not received my payout. But I discovered something. I was fucking hacked.
What? How did you get hacked?
Someone put in their own PayPal information, was sending my live rewards and my last payout to them. So I went on, I added 2-step verification to my account, I changed all my passwords, and I deleted the unknown device.
You mean to tell me that you quit your full-time job, put all of your eggs in this TikTok basket, and you didn't do 2-step verification, which is one of the most basic security precautions to protect your source of income? What an idiot.
Guess where the unknown device was? Turkey? What? Turkish people, I love you. How could a Turkish person do me dirty like that? What? The thing is about this fucking hacker asshole dickhead piece of shit is that they sent the money to their PayPal, which actually makes this easier to resolve because that's very easy to track down. I have a transaction ID, I have the exact dollar amounts, and I have the first 3 and last 3 characters of their email address, bitch.
Now, this whole thing would have been great if people didn't point out in the comments that PayPal is banned in Turkey. So her story is a lie. But let's see if there's more information on what happened.
Hi guys, I just want to let you know that I just got a notification that TikTok has disqualified me from the Creator Rewards program, that I have violated community guidelines, but they have not specified which community guidelines I have violated. I have a feeling that I was disqualified either because they're unwilling to resolve the payment that I'm owed, or maybe the fact that I've been open and political on here.
Yeah, it's not because you had stupid political takes. I mean, tons of TikTokers make videos displaying their stupid and poorly researched political opinions. but this is dated the 22nd of January. She said that she didn't get paid on the 16th of January, and then she claimed she got hacked on the 19th. Now, some of you might be thinking that, well, if she got hacked and she was going to get her money back from PayPal, then great. She can refund everybody who gave her guilt money. No, of course she couldn't do something honest like that. So I think all of this is a lie, and what actually happened is that she got a notice that said she was going to get demonetized, freaked out and asked for donations, appealed it, and lost. I think this is what happened because she said, well, now I'm not going to get the money that I was owed for January 15th.
All of my income I should have gotten from last month, and that means that all of the income I should be receiving from this next month, from these videos that I've had that have gone viral, I'm not going to be receiving the payment for.
But you said the payment was already processed through PayPal, but then you said PayPal didn't get it? She's kind of changing the story here. Either way, she lied and essentially scammed her audience for donations. Now she says she's deleting her TikTok.
All this is to say that I will now be permanently deleting this platform. I am planning to export the last bit of my data just to make sure I have everything, and I will be completely pivoting to YouTube. I'll probably be deleting this account within the next 24 hours or so. Basically, whenever I get the confirmation that I've received my data, I'm just getting rid of this app.
Yeah, good luck with that. YouTube is a different medium and content works differently here, so you aren't going to be able to carry over your full audience. The same audience that, by the way, already wasn't big enough to pull in an income large enough to survive a paycheck being one day late. Have fun rebuilding, though I don't see why she would do that because it says right here that she can just reapply. She said they didn't tell her what the violation was and she has no idea what she did wrong, but if she thinks it's unjust, then she can appeal it next month, so this isn't something a smart person would trash their entire business over. Ultimately, for times like these, I've developed a mantra for myself that I like to say a lot. It's really easy to be lazy and do nothing all day as a content creator because you don't have a boss and no one's telling you what to do. But if you do that for long enough, you'll get into a situation like the one Molly is in where she's screwed. So I like to tell myself, always be ready. Bad things are going to happen, be ready for them. I say things like this to remind myself to have emergency money so I don't crash out because my paycheck is one day late, and I'm always learning new information and improving my skills just in case the market changes, so I don't have to say, the algorithm hates me if my views start going down like all the other content creator has-beens. Always be ready. Keep the car cleaned in case you have to give someone a ride and don't want to look like a slob. Keep yourself in shape and always dress well so that if you meet your future wife or your future husband tomorrow, they don't ignore you. You'll find that you have a lot more freedom to do what you want if you exercise a little daily discipline. Anyway, thanks for watching, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.